Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm just sharing some antique finds, which I thought was kind of fun. I live in the Poconos, Pennsylvania, so there's just one antique place after another. There's plenty of places to go check out. Some places are definitely better than others. Some people, they definitely price things a lot higher than other vendors. It's really interesting because I can go to one antique store and there's certain antiques that aren't really antique, all right? So I think by definition, something in order to be called an antique has to be 100 plus years old. If you go to a lot of antique places, at least here in the Poconos, you'll see a bunch of crap from like the 70s and 80s and some stuff from the 90s, maybe even 2000s. You know, I would think that the majority of stuff you see is like 40s and 50s. Maybe you see stuff from like the 20s or teens. Maybe you see stuff from the late 1800s, but for the most part, it's a lot of stuff that's not really antique. It would be more considered vintage, which I believe is 50 years or older. But anyway, it's kind of besides the point. It's just, it's interesting because like certain things you'll see over and over again, like repetition. Like for example, let's say a stand-up ashtray, okay? You know, it's like a little 3-foot ashtray you'd have outdoors. So when you're sitting, it's kind of right there. It's convenient. You can move around. It's got, feet on it. Something like that I see at pretty much every place, but because there are different people who sell this stuff, they have different prices on things. And I could see the exact same item, and I could see it priced for $30 here, and $150 there, and $15 there. You know what I'm saying? So I always kind of, price shop a little bit. When I go to one place, if I see something I like, I don't necessarily buy it right away, because I may see something literally identical somewhere else for half the price or even a quarter of the price. And there's a couple antique places that are basically large buildings that have a bunch of vendors within. So there's one place I go, it has a ton of stuff, but it's like 30 different people's little sections, if that makes sense. So in that one building, I may see the same thing 3, 4, or 5 different places in the building with 3, 4, 5 different prices on it. So anyway, it's fascinating to me, like I said, what one person might ask for something, because a lot of times antique dealers, they know a little bit about this and that, but they don't know everything about stuff, and sometimes their prices are way off. Sometimes they're way undervalued. They might be selling something for $5 that might be worth $100, and vice versa. They'll be selling something that's worth $5 and they're asking $100. Zippos are one of those things where more times than not, a Zippo lighter is overpriced at an antique place. And that's because a lot of people just feel like, oh, a Zippo from the 40s or 50s must be worth $75 or $100 or more. Not necessarily the case. It's cool that it's old, but knowing a little bit more about the hobby, you have more of a feel, I guess, for values. But anyway, so this is a bunch of the stuff that we bought. It's hard because the older I get, the less junk I want hanging around. I'm always looking at tchotchke stuff. I'm a tchotch kind of guy. I love little knickknacks and things, and it's bad because I live in a very small house. I don't have room for anything as it is. So I really try to stay away from stuff that I find's cool, but sometimes I just can't help it. In this case, that I got some stuff that is completely unnecessary, but I just couldn't help myself because I thought it was cool. So the first thing in the background here, which is totally worth it because the one place was having a tent sale. So this thing was $1. You can't beat that for $1. We have a military box. I know the camera's kind of close here, but this is essentially like the size of an ammo can, but it opens from the side. It does have the key. I put the key on the top here. The key does work. It was just dented in severely here. You can see there's a little bit of a crease and it's kind of cut a little bit. But for $1, when I brought it home, I hammered it out and now it works. It clasps shut, works fine. Like I said, the lock does actually work. And I can put some stuff in here. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet. That's just one of those things. I mean, maybe I'll put ammo in it. Maybe it'll be tools. Maybe it'll be completely unrelated. I don't know, but for $1, that was hard to pass up. So I got that for $1. All right, besides that, something my wife got, which is completely random, but she got 2 of these old phones, all right? This is what a phone looks like, kids, all right? This is what I used to call people when I was really little. This is a rotary phone. All right, but this is something that hung around, my parents' house for a while, my grandmother's house, things like that when I was young. But obviously most of my childhood, we didn't have rotary phones. We had, phones like this, but they had buttons, all right? So you could just push the number. It took a little less time to call someone. But my wife actually got 2 of these, and the idea behind it was to use them for Halloween decorations, which she thought would be kind of cool. And I agreed. I said, hey, that's a great idea. It's kind of a cool Halloween decoration. You know, you can make it kind of dirty and scary looking or whatever, creepy. But she started cleaning one up, and she cleaned it up really well. This looked like crap, by the way. There were stickers stuck to it, and it was dirty. It was horrible. But she kind of like refurbished it and cleaned it up really, really nice. In fact, even the sticker that's in here, she recreated because there was nothing in here at all. She went online, she researched it. My wife is amazing. I mean, I love her. I picked her over anyone else to spend the rest of my life with, so obviously I like her. But she is sometimes brilliant, like literally brilliant, to me anyway. So she's looking at this phone. First, we're under the tent. It was raining outside, so we're kind of standing there, and it's humid and hot, and we kind of looked at everything, but she's kind of thinking about this phone. She's like, oh, you know, I kind of want to get the phone, but then she was worried about the Bakelite because she knows, like, I had a conversation in the past about some Bakelite AK mags, and I'm like, I think Bakelite has asbestos in it. So I was kind of freaking around a little bit, but then we're like, well, how can they have that? I mean, millions of people used phones for a long time. So she did more research, and turns out, you know, the Bakelite from a certain year on, you know, they didn't really use the asbestos in there. Anyway, it turned out to be safe. It was fine. So she looked up how to date these things. She was able to date this one from 62. The other one I think was from 66. So she's really into it and stuff. So she refurbished it, cleaned it up, and now she's looking into actually using the phone. So the cord on here, it's literally just these wires, but they make different boxes where you can use a cell phone number and it can receive the calls, and there's converters and all kinds of cool crap. Long story short, this will end up being our house phone eventually. I'll probably get another line, which I can probably get for free online as well. That's maybe for a whole separate video. It's fascinating. This turned into a $2 prop for Halloween to now we're gonna have a house phone, like old school rotary phone, which is just kind of cool. So anyway, that is that. That was her fun find. I got myself a Spittoon, not because I chew or need to spit anything. I thought this was neat. I've seen Spittoons at you know, antique shops for years and years and years. Usually they're a lot larger. Okay, they're a lot bigger, a lot more expensive. If you don't know, a Spittoon is, you know, think of the Old West. People have chewing tobacco, and literally, you know, they spit their chew in there, right? The dirty, brown, stinky, nicotine-filled spit goes into this, okay? And then obviously when it fills up, it's, you know, emptied and washed. Very kind of Old West, kind of cool. I really love the idea behind it. I always thought it'd be a cool decoration type piece. And as you can hear and see, I have change in here. So this one was listed or had a price tag on it for 11 bucks. And it was a lot smaller. Like I said, I've always seen, you know, real big ones that would be on the floor maybe. This is something that obviously would be on a tabletop. And I thought it was cool. I don't know if this was made last week or if it was made 150 years ago. There's no markings on it anywhere. It's just a brass spittoon. But I thought it was great for a change jug. Now I have a glass change jug that's fairly large, and I usually put mixed change in there. So what I decided to do is to leave the big one just for pennies, and anything that's not a penny, so nickels, dimes, quarters, and so forth, I'll throw in here. And when this fills up, I'll just cash it out at the coin machine that I frequently go to anyway. And I'll take the cash and I'll put the cash in a separate spot for like petty cash. So I have, you know, ones, fives, tens, things like that. So if I can't make it to the bank or something, I can have $100 or something on me. It would just be nice to have. So totally unnecessary. Like I said, I went from having a change jug that I put all my change into, but I wanted a reason to have this, and that seemed like a good enough reason to me. So if this seems like a cool idea, you could find these all the time. A full-size spittoon, again, depending on what antique shop, it could be 15 bucks, it could be $100. It really just depends. On average, I see the larger ones go for about 40 bucks or so. So just something to keep in mind if that sounds like a cool idea. But I love the Old West. I think that's awesome. I do occasionally get into that mood where I want to watch like an old cowboy movie or something and break out the Ruger Vaquero and just kind of feel like a cowboy for a little bit, right? So I'm not going to be spitting in this, but I think it was a cool aesthetic, especially to keep change in. So that is what that's for. Then I got these, which I'll explain in a minute. Then I got a Zippo, just talking about Zippos before. But I also got a book. All right, so this book was $4. Couldn't pass it up. Anything knife related is awesome, but you know, I do have an extensive library of knife related books, and this is one I did not have. This is the 11th edition of the official price guide to collector's knives. More than 13,000 prices listed. All right, so you can see some different knives on the front there. Very cool, right? This one was from, let's see, I think $4. What was the date of publication here? 1996. All right, so yeah, this is just a knife price guide. Just kind of cool. It's literally across the board, all kinds of stuff. These are great for reference material. You can see there's tons and tons of slip joints in here, but there are some other knives as well. But it's just really nice to have those price guides. It's more of a reference. It's not like I would look up a knife and see, okay, well, it says it's worth $25 here. No, obviously 96. That was quite a while ago, so it's not accurate as far as values. Values are always changing. Yeah, 1996. But it's just kind of cool. It's cool for information. You can see some of those tag stamps are in there. I just love stuff like this. This is something like, you know, I'll open and just flip through, and I learn things all the time. I may or may not learn something from this, but it was certainly worth all of the $4 I paid for it. All right, so now we're into, well, let me talk about Zippo real quick. This is a Zippo from 1985, I believe. We have, let me zoom in for you. We have the left-facing slash marks, 3 on the left, 2 on the right. You guys can double check that, but I think it was 85. You can see the brass is showing through. This is natural wear. This is very cool. This is what I always love seeing on a Zippo. Unfortunately, this one's hinge was broken, all right, and someone recreated the pin for it out of a nail. All right, so let me zoom in and show this home repair. I could send this back to Zippo to get fixed. Maybe, I don't know, in the future, maybe I'll do a group of them together. You know, I wouldn't spend the time just sending one at a time. But you can see a little repair there. It works fine. The lid's not gonna fall off now, but it's, you know, it's wobbly, crazy wobbly. No flint, the flint's disintegrated. In fact, if I pull this out, I'm sure we'll see the old powder show, right? Big old poof, yeah. So it's just disintegrating there. I can replace that, no big deal. All right, but it is the genuine insert as well. All right, very cool, Zippo. So on the front here, when I first, you see, I don't know if you saw the little puff of dust, that's all flint that's been disintegrated over the years. But you see on the bottom here, it says Maine, the 9 tree state. Is that what that says? 9, hold on. I got the wear right on it. The fine tree state. It's one of those, line, fine, 9. All right, I'm glad I Googled it. I was wrong. It's the pine tree state. I'm not from Maine, don't know much about it, but that's the slogan. The pine tree state. They got a lot of pine trees, big old conifer. All right, so yeah, so obviously you could see Maine here. You could see obviously a lot of the towns and cities and stuff listed here. I know there's a Portland, Maine, which is right there. Very cool. So yeah, I mean, you know, if you're from Maine, it would have a lot more significance, or if you like to visit Maine a lot or had family in Maine. But for me, it's just a cool, naturally worn Zippo. I love the brass poking through in the corners and the back here. It's just really nice. And this was $5. Couldn't pass it up. They actually had a couple other Zippos. There was a purple Zippo. It was just purple matte finish from the 90s. I think it was like a 94, 95, something like that. And I think they wanted $10 for it. I was on the fence. I'm like, ooh, I kind of want it just because it was a 90s Zippo. I love using Zippos in the 90s. That was my teenage years. So I was really on the fence, but I'm like, $10. It was worth $10. It was fine, but ultimately I didn't get it just because I got this other stuff the same day. So yeah, just picked up a new Zippo. That's always a win. I will get any Zippo, new or broken, for $5 or less all the time, no matter what. So that was a given. All right, so now we're left with these things. We have some paperweights here. So the first one, now this was one of the antique stores we went to. When I walked in, they have a bunch of cases, and if you're local, you might even know what I'm talking about here. But they have a coin case, and it's usually my go-to. When I walk into this building, I go right to the coins. I check out the prices. They have constitutional, they have some coin books, they have individual coins. Their prices are usually a little bit high. I don't think that they come in and change the price because it's a vendor that doesn't like work there, you know, so they just have their stuff sitting there. So I don't know how often they frequent it, but I see the prices stay there for a while, so I don't think they change it depending on spot, because all the coins are really kind of collector's coins. You're not buying it for the metal content. Like to give you an example, they have probably 15 or 20 Morgans at any given time. The cheapest Morgan's $49, which, I mean, it's not a key date or anything like that. It's not significant, and it's not in the best of shape. $49 for a Morgan is not a terrible price. I mean, they're worth probably 35 bucks all day long, even Cole Morgans that are just ruined, you know what I mean? Scratched up, dented, whatever. But most of them are like $69, $75, things like that. So it's more on the collector side of things. Like they had a roll of 40% Kennedys for like $100. It's not too far off of melt. It's not a bad deal, but it's not like such a good deal that I have to buy it kind of a thing. And they're usually sitting there. There's not a whole lot of people buying coins at this place. You know, so in the future, if prices do change a little bit, or if I, you know, just like something, you know, specifically, then maybe I'll fork over the money for it. But anyway, that's usually my go-to. But I didn't even make it to the coin case because I saw amongst a bunch of Christmas decorations these three paperweights. All right. So the first paperweight looked like this. I had no idea this is removable, by the way. It had a beautiful Morgan in it. All right, it looked just like this on the shelf. And by the way, all three of these were 20 bucks. I paid $20 for each one of these. So yeah, what did I say? It was $1 for the box. I paid, well, my wife paid $2 each for the phones. She also got like a little folding wood table, which is awesome, for $1. The knife book was $4. The Spittoon was $11. The Zippo was $5. But yeah, this was the bulk of my purchases, 2020, because I love them. I totally fell in love with them. So this is the first one. It's just the Morgan sitting in here. This is a 1921 Morgan. And I thought this was really cool. And when I actually got it out of the case, I noticed that it was rattling just a little bit. Just a little bit of rattle. So that made me realize that it was removable. Because obviously, if it was encased in this plastic here, it would not have rattled at all. So when I looked at the back, I saw that there was this little plate here. Now, I didn't take it out at the place or anything. I knew I was going to buy it anyway. But when I got it home, I kind of, you know, shook it and tapped it, and eventually got this plate loose. I was able to get the Morgan out, and it turns out that this is, in fact, a genuine Morgan dollar. All right, so for 20 bucks, any Morgan, that's a deal all day long. So I was very happy about that. This one is in really good shape. It's super shiny. I want to say this was probably cleaned. I am not a coin grader by any means at all. Tons of detail, though, in her hair and the hat and everything else, her face. I can only assume that it was cleaned, but who knows? Maybe it's actually just in a better grade. This is one I will put in a capsule, and I will save this. And in the future, I'd love to send a couple coins here and there to like PCGS just to have them graded, just for fun. But it's expensive and it's timely now. It's not something, there's a quick turnaround time. There's so many people and they're so understaffed apparently that it takes months and months sometimes. And it is very expensive to do as well. So I don't know. I don't know if it's worth doing. But you guys, I mean, if you guys are more coin experts, you can certainly let me know what you think of this one. It has beautiful luster. You can see the fingerprints on there. But like I said, I kind of feel like it was cleaned or polished or something to make it this, you know, nice looking really. But there is still plenty of detail. So I'm going to investigate this one a little more. But, you know, my initial thought was that like on all three of these, I thought, well, I really like them as, you know, collector's pieces and little desktop, you know, little paperweights, that I was going to pay $20 each no matter what. I originally thought that this Morgan was probably fake, right? The gold that's here, I'll talk about that. The gold is fake. I knew that because if these were real, they'd be worth hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars each. And there's 3 coins in there. These I thought were real, and I still believe they are real. There's no way to know unless I break it open, but I'll show you that in a second. So this is a really nice surprise. I did the ping test, which you guys know I love using the pocket pinger. I'll put a link. I always usually put links to that in the description box when I do anything precious metals related, because it is fantastic. It is a really cool service. You can download the app and ping it, but you know, once you get used to using the pocket pinger, you don't necessarily need to look it up each time, at least for you know, if you're consistently pinging $1 coins or something. Anyway, long story short, I did the pocket pinger, came out 3 on 3, so it was perfect. You know, it sounds right. I did the weight. The weight was spot on. All right, so I'm definitely convinced that this is, in fact, a genuine Morgan dollar. It is beautiful. It is in awesome shape, but I'll give you a little flick here so you can hear it. Whoop, let me give you a better one than that. There we go. Just beautiful, beautiful coin. So, Now this leaves me with a conundrum because I don't want to put this one back in this case, but I don't know if I want to put a fake one. I do have a fake Morgan that I might slip in this case just as a decorative piece. You know what I'm saying? It's not worth anything if I put a fake one in there, but I don't necessarily want to put a real one. I don't really know. You guys let me know. Is it better to put a real one in there and just keep it on my desk? All right, so next up here is a very cool piece. This is representing some California gold tokens. So you can see in the bottom here it says California gold from the 1850s. Souvenirs of private coinage by assayers during the gold rush days. So during the California gold rush, this was heavily used as money, even though they weren't technically considered coins because they weren't government backed. They were basically state backed. You know what I'm saying? This was just money that people created and they all acknowledged was money because everyone had gold fever, right? So these are some common designs. These actual little, you know, tokens, let's call them, because that's what they are. These are real gold, but they're gold plated brass, okay? So they don't have any physical value as, you know, collectible pieces. If I were to break these out of the plastic here, which would be terribly difficult, maybe they're worth $5 each, maybe $10 each, just as a little collector's item, but I would never do that. I think this whole piece together is very cool. In fact, I only saw one of these for sale, and it wasn't actually for sale. It sold last year on an auction site for $80. So for, you know, I paid $20 for this. I think it's a cool piece. All right, you can see how thin those coins really are. All right, and that little plastic little note in there that shows the text. It's just a cool little piece. I just really like it. I never really focus on California gold. They're way more collectible. So like they have a massive premium. I mean, some literally are thousands and thousands of dollars, depending on what design and the condition and stuff. But this is kind of a good representation of what they may look like. So just kind of a neat piece. Definitely worth the $20 for me. This will sit on my desk for a very long time. Just something to kind of fondle and look at. And my favorite one that I got is this guy right here. All right. So first off, I have to say the little feet that are on here did not come with it. In fact, there were little tiny dots where their feet might have originally been. This is actually from Christina. Christina had a pack of different types of feet for things. So we put those back on yesterday, let it cure. I bought all the stuff yesterday. I'm making the video right now for today. But you can see this one here has a variety of different coins. And this is lucite. You can find these. Now I will say, if this is something you think, wow, that is awesome, I really want that, you could buy it on eBay. This one happens to have a 1959 Franklin as a centerpiece in here, all right, $50. There's a set, it's a 1958 Franklin, and these consistently sell between $40 and $60 on eBay. So if you go on eBay right now, this is probably still for sale, this exact one, the exact type of coins, just slightly different years for $40, right? And then possible shipping, I forget. But there's a couple on there. Most of the ones you'll find with these, they're all throughout the 70s too. But a lot of them are the Franklin $50, not the Benjamins. But I did find one with the Benjamin $50 in there. But it's super neat. It's just really cool. So we have a 1959 Benjamin $50 right in the middle, 90% pure silver. Then we have a 1959 Roosevelt Dime, also 90% silver. Then we have a nickel from 1960. For some random reason. It would be nice if this was actually like a proof set or something, but it's not. I don't know, you know, why there's mixed coins in here, but it is what it is. Then we have a 1961 penny, and we have a 1960 90% Washington quarter. All right, so there's the top view. You can see how the coins are actually set in there. So anyway, I just thought this was awesome. I've, you know, seen plenty of paperweights. In fact, back in the 90s, my mom worked at a bank, and I purchased multiple paperweights for her for presents for like birthdays and Christmas and stuff. She would keep on her desk, and it was cool because people would always compliment her on those paperweights. And I remember one was like a diamond shape and had a bunch of fake gold coins in it, which looking back, I wish I still had that. I didn't care about gold coins back then, but now I really like them. So it would have been cool. Maybe if I look hard enough, I could probably find on eBay or something. But anyway, that's all. Just wanted to share these little finds with you. Like I said, if you like this idea, the coin suspended in a lucite plastic box, it's basically like an acrylic. But you could find these, like I said, all day long for $40 to $60 on eBay if that's worth it to you. I was very happy to get it for $20. It's just really cool. When I first got this, I almost had the idea that I would do a project to get the coins out. But I don't know. It would be, I think, incredibly difficult to saw and cut through this and get the the coins out without damaging the coins. But to be honest, I just kind of like it as a presentation piece. It's just kind of cool. So anyway, that is all. Just want to share my antique store finds. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Summer is coming to an end soon. The kids are back to school and whatnot. Summertime is the best time to, you know, do garage sailing and antiquing and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, for me, luckily, it's all year round. So anytime I want, I can go to antique stores. I just don't always want to collect junk or have money to do stuff like that. You know, things can get very expensive when you get hobbies, as most of you already know. But more so, it's just about, like, just not having a place to put things, you know. But I thought these things were really cool. I didn't want to pass them up. So there you go. Now I got more junk. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video. Take care.